What is up YouTube, and welcome to this What If review and breakdown. Now, I have been critical of the show so far, with the voice acting being off and the hooks for each episode just not being very original and not what fans would ask for. Now, Mr. Sunday Movies has put it best in his podcast by saying that the first episode was just the same story as the movies, except a just tiny different change. And the second and third episodes were, quite frankly, a mess from top to bottom and largely dull, but having stunning animation. I did consider dropping off and just waiting till it was all out and binging it in one go. To me, it has hardly been appointment viewing up until now. Here, the show absolutely delivers with the cool idea of the what if premise. Doctor Strange is in the MCU, now being pushed as the new Tony Stark, as in the leader of the MCU heroes, or at least the one with the most authority. The question asks, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, and provides an amazing moment for Doctor Strange. And the voice acting here is helped heavily, as Cumberbatch has notably voiced Smaug in The Hobbit, and of course is such a master at voice acting, he voiced his own enemy Dormammu in his entrance to the MCU. Here we see Stephen drive to the gala in his honour, where he notably crashed and wrecked his hands, leading him to rehab and the expertise of the Ancient One. The difference here is that he is with Christine, who dies. Their relationship looks a bit better here, but she dies instead of his hands being broken. Still, he goes to find himself, and I am curious to see how Camotage would be found by him had he have not gone to Benjamin Bratt's character in the movie. However, he does defeat Dormammu, and his motivation here was finding a way to bring back Christine, and like the original movie, he is meant to look beyond the initial issue, but we get a split Doctor Strange. This is much, much better, and I could see them try this in the second and the third episodes, but the ideas just did not click with me. One day he decides to use the time stone to go back to the day of the crash and try to stop it happening. Here we see him go through countless attempts to change the course of history, only for him to come into contact with the Ancient One, who tries to stop him, leading him to go to the lost library of Cagliostro. Of course, the Book of Cagliostro is the book that was stolen by the villains of the Doctor Strange movie, and the Lost Library is a source of great knowledge. And we meet Oben, aka Cagliostro, who was in the comics and was actually involved with Dracula, the Darkhold, which is pretty darn interesting. Now, Strange learns how to master the way to bring back Christine. Here he learns dark magic and needs to absorb the power of mystical creatures and beings, and the first one we see is the tentacle being that looked like the one from the Captain Carter episode. And my headcanon at this time in the episode was that Doctor Strange killed this being, leading Carter to be released, as we saw at the end of her episode. Now, the trailers do show these two characters actually together, so this Stephen Strange and Captain Carter are going to return and possibly butt heads. Eventually, he does absorb almost every type of magical beast, including a poor gnome, which reminded me of the gnomes from Gravity Falls, a bug with a cape, which he steals, and eventually he starts to look like a demon, and by the end just looks awful. The Watcher speaks, saying he could warn him, but he can't interfere, which is heard by Strange, but he is too far gone. Many people are saying that he is now Mephisto, which I don't really think. By the end of the episode, he has repented for his sins, and Mephisto is kind of his own thing. It'd be really, really weird if that did happen, but hey, I could be wrong. Now, his Yoda, Oben, was underserved, and I found it weird. He's like, yeah man, just go and kill those creatures, absorb their power, grind to get to the level cap, and it's taken centuries, and then he just dies. It's just a real letdown, in my opinion, for that character. However, reality is breaking, as the Ancient One actually created a split timeline, which even she admits wasn't a good idea. And it's clear that Christine is seemingly a fixed point, but what is crucial here is not a Nexus being. In this reality, she is the trigger for him to become Doctor Strange, whereas in the MCU Prime, his hands were. So this actual Christine event is limited to this reality, but there will always be a moment that leads to him to become Doctor Strange. So it's a really interesting one, and I imagine that the sacred timeline follows the main one that we've seen so far, and these are kind of Nexus events where Christine dies or something like that. She's not a Nexus being who is the constant throughout. It's a really weird one and a bit difficult to explain. Now this causes him to fight the other half of himself, and we see the cape burnt. Man, Marvel, I ain't going to forgive you. But eventually we see the evil version win as reality is destroyed. It's incredibly similar to the realities before Secret Wars 2015, where they were destroyed, and we see him become a grotesque being as Christine is scared and she starts to, evaporate like everyone else. The Watcher is asked to save him, but he still does not intervene. And reminds me of that meme where it's like, hey, remind me where that's my problem from Spider-Man. But it's clear that you are to will interfere before the show's end. However, it's a nice closed loop story for this Doctor Strange, but the evil Doctor Strange has much more potential. And heck, it maybe explains why Doctor Strange is just so weird in No Way Home. This Strange knows what it's like to live two lives, and he could bust out of that destroyed reality Infinite Crisis style. Yes, I know that's DC, but seeing him with Christine did remind me of like Alexander Luthor and the Golden Age Superman. I've probably got that completely wrong, but you get what I mean. So overall, just a stunning episode. The action, the voice acting, the idea was a really high concept, which I'm really here for. But that is it for this video, so please do drop a like down below. Do subscribe with notifications on if you want more from us. I will be back tomorrow for American Horror Story, and I will be back on Friday and Saturday for Shang-Chi videos, which is a stunning movie, and I'm very excited for you all to go and check out that movie. But do stay safe, and I'll see you soon, and goodbye.